Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of IEEE Pune's podcast Beyond Conversations. On today's episode, our guest is an artificial intelligence researcher, Abhijith Neil Abraham. On today's episode, he speaks about how AI is completely revolutionizing the world of tech, the many different developmental stages of AI, and how engineers should adopt to this extremely dynamic change. So, hello Abhijit, it's really great to have you on our show today.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, so let's start with the questions. My first question is, since you've been a practitioner of AI for quite some years, what are your thoughts about ChatGPT 4? Can you tell us about in some depth about your thoughts on the recent developments in AI technology?
So basically, quite recently we have been having these LLMs, right? These LLMs means large language models, where
Mm-hmm.
we actually have a large corpus of text trained in a supervised fashion, and then unsupervised fashion, and then in a supervised fashion later. So what does this mean? What does supervised, unsupervised, all of these things mean? What are LLMs? These are the major questions that most of the people ask in order to get an understanding about how AI works these days, right? So, so about LLMs, why are we using LLMs?
Mm-hmm.
So these LLMs are able to understand our natural language in a much more farther advanced way than simply solving certain small natural language tasks. Since it has been trained on much data from the internet, it can understand like almost every other domain that we can speak about to it. Like take anything like medical domain or about sports, about politics, everything. The LLM has been trained on all of these data, right? So this knowledge, when we say unsupervised learning, what happens is this knowledge is existing there. It is like you read in the news. What are you doing with the news? Nothing, right? So it is like a
Right.
unsupervised learning, right? Like the news is in your head. You haven't done anything with the news yet. But
Yeah.
if you want to say write an exam like a PSC or army or some other kind of exam, then you
Mm-hmm.
might specifically use that knowledge and structure that knowledge and learn it in a particular way, right? Like in order
Right.
to be good at that particular domain. So when we fine tune means when we specifically train for a particular task. This is how supervised learning works. So this is you structuring that data, labeling it, and saying this is something I want the model to perform.
Right.
So from unsupervised learning to supervised learning, we can use these large language models to whatever way we want. So and using these large language models, this effort to make it better and better with time. This effort have been in practice for quite some time. Like this was a race by a lot of other companies, like involving Google and OpenAI and so. And what happened in the recent times was there came a new model called GPT-3, and then there came GPT 3.5, and so these models were so powerful that their generative capabilities were far beyond what we have been dealing with so far. Like there are a lot of aspects of how we solved a task earlier that have changed entirely. The way we deal with AI models have changed entirely because of the generative capabilities of these new large language models. Say if you want to ask it to code for you, if you want to maybe summarize some news for you, whatever you want, this new large language models have been able to perform it in a much better fashion. So that is what's been happening lately, and this ChatGPT also is being powered by large language models such as GPT 3.5 and then GPT-4 now, which is available with the ChatGPT Plus subscription.
I think one more question based on this same question would be how was AI developed previously in the past, and what are some of the core concepts? What are some of the techniques that are being used now, especially in GPT and Dolly, for instance?
That's a good question. So, I should maybe start about my experience also. So when I started, I was more into natural language processing all the time when I started AI, and so because I was much more interested in how like humans learn language, and this was very fascinating to me for some reason. So what happened was during that time, when I was starting, this was mostly just embeddings. And there might be a question, what are embeddings? What do people understand about embeddings? It is very simple. Like you can say apples and oranges are related to each other in some way. Like, okay, when you say apples, you can say, expect oranges to be in the same paragraph or same sentence. Like you can be
Yeah.
sure about it, right? There's some relation. Say if there is a word called cat, there's a word called dog. So you
Yeah.
can expect this cat and dog to be in the embedding space. They might be closer to each other.
Right.
Like you can. So what happens is there is a vector representation for every word known in the language, and this vector representation, when you what is a vector? You take a 3D or whatever space, and then it has a certain order of magnitude and a direction, right? And the
And a
cat may
direction.
be standing like this. That vector might be like this, and the dog vector might be very close to it like this. If you
Yeah.
represent in a vector space, so you use some mathematics to convert those to a vector space, and then in those embedding space, the more relevant words to each other will stay closer to each other. So this was how like natural language was earlier developed, like natural language processing, that domain NLP was earlier developed. And on top of this embeddings, like on top of how these embeddings were arranged, more and more neural networks were trained. As you already know,
Right.
like AI is trained using neural networks, right? And
Right.
when the neural networks process these embeddings, they understand, oh wow, so I must understand that cat is related to a dog, and so and so. So
Right.
I can give you another example how, maybe mathematically we can understand the embeddings better. Say, add the say let's say there's a embedding for the word king, and subtract the embedding of the word man, and add the embedding of the word woman. Okay, so
Okay.
king minus man plus woman, the
Huh.
resultant embedding will be very closer to the word queen. Can you think of that? King minus
Yeah.
man plus woman,
Right.
the resultant embedding is
Right.
very near to the word queen. So
Huh.
if you can analyze mathematically using embeddings this way, then you can
Right.
also make the neural networks to understand this kind of pattern, right? These embeddings are meant to
Yes.
be like this. Whatever we are doing in AI is simply trying to make the machine understand in the machine language. So what is the machine language? It's mostly numbers, binary, and so and so. So all the
Yeah.
efforts, everything, every architecture that we have in AI is an effort to crunch this down to in a very specific way so that the machine can understand the numbers or binaries or whatever bits that they are given.
Right. Right.
So we started with embeddings, and then what happened? Then came a lot of other tools and so which built on top of it. Back in the days, it was very simple neural network solving very simple tasks, which are very specific tasks, like say classification, sentiment analysis, and so and so. What is the sentiment analysis? It's about saying if the sentence is positive or negative, right? So those were basic tasks. Many companies made a lot of profit by having basic sentiment analysis models under their hood. Like even social media apps could make use of it, like to properly analyze and understand and filter out the negative ones out, right? These kind of
Yeah.
tasks were easily solved. But over time, then people needed more and more complex models that could understand the semantics more, because this was not enough. Not saying the sentence positive or negative. That's not enough. You actually want the models to summarize news for you, extract certain keywords for you, and a lot of other
Exactly.
things were necessary.
Hmm.
Um, and human tasks that we do, like these painful routine tasks that we wanted to simplify it and automate it, right?
Hmm.
So what did we do? Then came this transformers architecture and this seek to seek mechanisms and so. So basically, these
Hmm.
were like more applicable with NLP, and
Hmm.
I will say seek to seek in a very simple way. Like there will be an encoder. Like I said, for the machine to understand, there needs to be some mathematical conversion, right?
Yeah.
Like you can think of a array with a lot of random some numbers in it. This could be some like a representation of an embedding also. Like that's a vector actually. Like all these numbers together will represent something. And
Yeah.
what happens is you convert this whatever we have, like the number sentences, words, or whatever, into an encoding, and this encoding will be tried to decode by the machine itself. Like when the
Okay.
AI is being trained, it encodes words, and its task that it gives itself would be trying to decode the sentence by itself. Like like thinking about if the encoding is understood by the model while it is trying to decode. Right. This is
Yeah.
what seek to seek does. So it is trying to generate or understand the it is trying to decode the encodings. So on top of this, there came transformers architecture, and which used a specific self-attention mechanism also. But then, transformers architecture came in 2017. And by 2018 came the actual revolution that made the AI space blow up. Like I think that was when a lot of people were excited about like the state of AI going some very
Yeah.
hot new direction. That was in 2018, where this BERT was introduced, bidirectional encoder representational transformers. That was what BERT was. So BERT had much more semantic understanding of what the natural language context was, and this made it much more easier to work with the NLP systems. Like these BERT models could be flexibly modified into different new tasks that you wanted. And yeah, so that there came a, like everyone was hyped about it, everyone was building companies over it, and so and so.
Yeah.
Then, so there came other things, like not just architecture, like definitely a lot of architectures like GPT, that is generative pre-trained token, that also came. And people kept on like inventing more things by understanding how Bird works and what was Bird missing. Then there came other architectures that filled the gap that Bird had. So everyone was competing to have the right kind of architecture that could give you the right kind of outputs. Then there came this company called Hugging Face, which made all of these, like happen in a decentralized way, but the all the repos and everything, you can think of it like a GitHub, but not for code,
Okay.
but for AI models. This company really hosted all the models, all the data sets, and whatever you want, you can search for it in this company's search bar.
Okay.
All of the tasks, all of the models, all of the data sets, all of the new products and cool tools. And so people started using Hugging Face a lot more. Just like how we can find a lot of code in GitHub, we started searching in Hugging Face. So the competition,
Right.
the community's involvement, engagement increased over time because of the same reason. So, yeah, so the competition kept on accelerating. OpenAI during all this time was not actually announcing themselves to be a, like a LLM company or anything. They were just, like silent. They were just silently building robotics and reinforcement learning. And even I used to do my final year project in college using some of OpenAI's these robotics platforms and so. I was an electrical engineering student, so that's why I I had to actually build robots for my
Right.
projects. Yes. So OpenAI was doing this, and we never expected it to do what it is doing right now. It is such a tremendous leap that they have done, and yeah, people are all about it these days. So yeah, so these are the advancements. Now you have ChatGPT from them, and they are also like like even Hugging. I think Hugging Face is having a lot of competition from them also. While OpenAI, despite the name, they are not actually open. Like Hugging Face, who's the more open source and democratic, decentralized deep learning kind of platform, and OpenAI has a lot of things like pricing. They are closed sourcing their models like GPT-4 and so.
I think that gives us a more clearer picture of what's actually happening behind the entire scenes. Because AI is something that's really fascinating to see, and you have no idea what's going on behind because you imagine it to be extremely complex, and it is. Coming on to our third question. So, you talk about artificial general intelligence, AGI. Now, while most students have always heard about AI, we haven't heard about what AGI exactly is. Can you tell us about this?
Yeah, sure. So far I have been talking about how we used AI for the sentiment analysis and what were we doing? We were simply solving certain small tasks and asking AI, hey, let's do some sentiment analysis today. Let's do some named entity recognition today, where we extract certain entities and their values from a given paragraph, or let's summarize something today. So what are all these tasks? We are asking AI to automate this, solutions in a much simpler way. They can do it, right? And what about using a summarization model to do a task such as NER? It cannot do that easily, right? Because it is meant for a specific task. It won't adapt to a new task that easily. So what made humans better than AI? So far, what it has simply been that humans, like if I ask you to learn a new language today, you will pick up much faster than the AI, and you will be actually able to do something, right? Even if you don't know something, the adaptability of humans has made us much more special than AI, right? And now the AI is catching up. That's what's happening. So artificial general intelligence means the adaptability has been increased. So even if you have used ChatGPT, you can actually ask it to learn from your input pattern too. Let's say, maybe ask it to take a look at something like which it might have never solved. Like for example, asking it to start all of the like say if it is giving an answer, give all of the words that in the answer start with the letter Z or something. Might be very hard for humans, and this is a task that we are actually giving it. Maybe it might not have seen, but it we are asking it to learn from our input pattern and then do it in its own way, asking it to adapt,
Right,
right? It can
right.
actually perform that, and it will actually like do way better in performing that. And it is slowly catching up. As you can see, when we use the ChatGPT's 3.5 model and comparing it with the GPT-4, there's a lot of difference that may make us see that okay, the advancements in our the 6 months gap between those two. I think it is only 6 months, and like with every few months, the ability is increasing far better, right? So AGI is
Yeah,
something makes a lot of people worry about if they would lose their job just because of the same thing, this
exactly.
adaptability. Yeah.
Right. So that's what my next question is about. So AI is catching up, and the industry is going through a major recession. A lot of huge companies are firing a lot of people. And with AI technology rising, it's able to write code, it's able to write content, it's even able to make, business models. So how do you think AI is revolutionizing the tech industry now, and how do us as humans cope up with it?
So I would just rather give a very niche advice to college students rather than just thinking about the AI space. It is very easy to create panic in any other spectrum that we are doing things, right? Like I could simply say, AI is not going to take over your jobs, and that would not be an enough answer for you. Like you'd be asking why, and then I could simply say a few things more about AI, and that's not going to be enough. That's not how the whole industry works. There's a much deeper answer to this if you understand the economy, if you understand how the tech corporates and tech ecosystem works, and how like a lot of people like change their mode of work like with all of the new technologies that's been introduced. Like say for example, the internet took over a lot of jobs, yes, and like does that makes you a person who is not experienced in the domain at all? No. Like if you could actually internet to leverage your own tasks, like say in the banking system, in the previous era the internet might not have been necessary for whatever purpose they are doing their tasks with, right? And the internet came, and does that mean you should be replaced because you have very much experience with what you do, right? Like you know how to
Yeah.
do those tasks on your own. You have the experience with the industry of the past. There are a lot of problems that
Yeah.
you might know where the gap is and so and so. And then the
Yeah.
internet came, and you actually learn to adapt like yourself, like adopting the internet as a tool to assist you. This is the
Yeah.
right attitude that can help you or anyone, any college student who
Exactly.
is worried, like, or not, I'm not just saying college student, any fresher, anyone who's worried about losing their job, like this adaptability that you have is quite very important in doing this. But apart from that, this losing of jobs is not simply because of AI or anything. That just maybe even coincidence that those two things happened in parallel, but there actually
Yeah.
happened a recession, which was you could say it also was an after effect of what that happened during COVID. Like there was this overhiring by a lot of companies during the
Right.
COVID time,
Yes.
and they like the overhiring was mostly because everyone started using digital tools a lot more, right? Like
Right.
during COVID,
Yeah.
our social media usage increased a lot, and we use these video chatting app platforms a lot more, like Google
Yeah.
Meet and so. So there was a immense need to scale all these applications, and they had to hire a lot more engineers. They had to hire people into the research and engineering team, and this research would power a lot more other tools that you can use into your own products.
Yeah.
So this is this need currently then companies. So okay, what we did was a little bit overboard. We don't need to do that. Even their
Yeah.
competitors were doing a lot of these things, right? So they might be pressured
Right.
to do it themselves to like hire people in order to like let the please the investors and so on. So this happened,
Yeah.
and then now the mass firing actually is like a readjustment. It's not simply about, okay, the recession is coming and yeah, we should fire a lot of people to save money. Probably that is there too. But there was the overhiring in the first place. So, in a higher level, when you think about how companies dealt with whatever happened to them, there
Yeah.
are many, many more answers. And also, there is the Silicon Valley bank crash, and so, like, that
Yeah.
happened, and people might say, "Oh, now everything is like going to be ruined. We cannot everyone in every country is going to lose their job." This is the kind of panic that the media spreads.
Yeah.
Then there is a problem. We will read only into panic. We will not read the good news. Like just the good news spread as fast as the panic. It never does. So we are not feeding our brain with the positive news at all, and then we are worried. Just keeping on adapting, like learning what happened, understanding what happened, might actually, ease yourself, make you better, make you happier, and
Yeah.
just go with that. Yeah. So
Right.
to your question, will they take over their jobs? If you are adaptable enough, if you are welcoming this new technologies and are open to seeing how these changes are made, definitely will be okay. But when the internet came over, like for the first time, like people were you could say they were not expecting this, like taking over their jobs and whatever that happening. And the communism was against this. Like, oh, no more technology is bad. We should stick to saving people's jobs. And
Yeah.
then like look at communism now. Like they are welcoming the technologies, right? So
Yeah.
in every century, there are people who like who might feel threatened by this arrival of new technology. But at least we have an advantage. We saw this in the past. Then we have to adapt. Then it will be okay.
Right.
So there's an
Yeah.
example. We just need to follow that example that we have already. Yeah.
Exactly. It's true. Change is the only constant, and technology is one industry where everything is changing at such a rapid pace. A few days ago, I had the opportunity of interviewing a very senior VP in Tech Mahindra, and he said the exact same thing: adaptability. Adaptability is core to survival in tech, or rather in any other field.
Yes. Yes. That is
So
right.
just as we are adapting, we are evolving as humans, we need to evolve to the new technologies that come up.
Yes. 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 That is right.
Now, in accordance with this, so there are these new positions called as prompt engineers coming up in a lot of companies, in a lot of industries. So, what does a prompt engineer exactly mean? What does this title mean? What do people working in these jobs exactly do?
Yes, that's a good question. So if you have ever worked with these LLMs or ChatGPT or anything, like if you have tried it out for asking it to do its like our own specific needs, we might see that okay, ChatGPT is not doing it as good as we thought. We might
Mm-hmm.
need to get it to give us better responses. And
Right.
then like it is like maybe asking humans to adapt to what we want them to do, right? Like say, hey, cook some idli for today, and then you just tell them that, and they will be like, oh, okay, and then come up with something that looks similar to idli but not that's not idli. They
Yeah.
thought that would be idli because from their own understanding of what you mentioned and idli is, but you actually needed to perform the certain task much better. Like if you want it to do that, you need to give a little bit more context. You need to know how the AI engine understands all these tasks from the input that we give it, right? So to make the model understand better, we hire prompt engineers. So prompt engineers are not necessarily developers. Like you can say, if you are in a medical domain company, you can
Right.
hire a person who is not actually associated with software development, but you can actually be a medical professional, and then you can learn a lot of things about how this AI model understands.
Yeah.
See, this is the thing that is crucial. How the machine understand is much more important than how you simply understand the whole paradigm in the specific domain.
Right.
So, if you understand the pattern, the machine understands it, then you'll
Right.
have a lot of methodologies that you can do, such as role playing. Like you can say,
Right.
hey, today you are going to be a medical practitioner, and you are going to give me answers in certain XXX questions in XXX in YYY way. Okay, X and Y. Okay, so so if I am a already a prompt engineer who is very much knowledgeable in the medical domain, I could actually craft the prompts in a very niche way from my understanding of the particular domain.
Yeah.
This is what we do with prompt engineering, and there are a lot of terms that we need to know related to the prompt engineering that are similar. Some are role playing, context addition. Context addition means that when you are giving a prompt, you might also give some context so that the model can understand. Okay, this is what we are talking about, and maybe like you need an auto completion to whatever you context you gave, or maybe you
Right.
need to understand model. This is a scenario. Okay, so in this scenario, you need to navigate this system in this scenario. And
Right.
maybe there is also another term called iterative addition. So, what is iterative addition? It is simply like when you chat with someone, you can give more and more prompts to refine the output better and better, right? Like, say, you ask the model to do a certain task, and then the model might do it like maybe 90% okay. Then you give another prompt to make it 95% okay. And then, like, in order to get it to your full satisfaction, you can give it more and more prompts. This is the
Right.
iterative addition. So this is what happens in prompt engineering. Like a lot of new engineers are being hired, and definitely in good salaries because of the same reason. Because of their domain knowledge might be really useful, and the experience with dealing these LLMs or AI could be really helpful. So it is not simply a task where we like you could say anyone can do it. It's not the right way to say. Like
Right.
it's
Yeah.
much more very niche. Yeah.
Right. So basically, it's the task of optimizing the answers that you can generate from AI
Yeah.
by using your own knowledge in the domain that you're working in.
Yes. Yes. Correct.
Right. So you've been working as an AI researcher as well. Can you take us into a day in your life as an AI researcher? What are your tasks on a daily basis?
So my nature of work has changed over the organizations that I worked with, and like everything like. In each of the organizations, each of the years it was different. But when I started as an AI researcher from the
Mm-hmm.
start of my career. I directly joined into this company which was in the medical domain, and
Okay.
they actually they had a lot of impact and impact to clients such as Pfizer and so. So what happens
Mm-hmm.
is these uh, companies when they had to perform certain build certain products, what they do is the research, they will consult with the research team. So research team is actually a division inside the company,
Mm-hmm.
and we will be simply be like, it's like a playground. We will be simply, oh wow, AI, we'll do this, and then we'll make certain models, and wow, this technology is really cool. We'll explore that. So what happens is when they consult with us, we already are like, this is something we could do by this method, or we might have already built an AI model related to their question, and we could easily do. So this is the part R&D is mostly for, like a say a product company is there and they want to do something, and they don't want to start from scratch by hiring new people. So like the research team might be already coming with something, and what if the research team already came up with something groundbreaking, and then the
Yeah.
company can use it to build another product. Also there are other things like if you come up with something groundbreaking, and then the companies will be like, wow, okay, this is something we could pitch into our investors. We could tell them
Yeah.
that, okay, the research team has done this, we have an amazing team, so hey, if you we will talk to our clients, and the clients will be like really happy to see that, okay, this team have done their actual research on whatever they can do for the product, right?
Yeah.
So to get the head start in the industry, like say if you're a company and you need some head start in the latest groundbreaking technology, that is what an R&D section of the company is for. So what we did over there was mostly like following our curiosity, going out there, talking with each other, and just being excited about what is coming out there, and
Yeah.
then solving tasks and like forming our own teams by ourselves. We are not assigned by anyone else. We were just, okay, hey man, you seem very experienced at this task, so let's work on a research paper together, and then we'll just go on with that. It was like
Yeah.
awesome. It was like a playground. It's like you are choosing who you want to play with and what game you want to play. It's simply
Yeah.
that. And then we wrote multiple research papers together, and so, like some of them could be used into our products, and which
Mm-hmm.
actually made a lot of impact in the product that were like it was actually used by a lot of people too. Like it helped. I think for the company, it even helped with the Pfizer's COVID vaccine come 1 month earlier, because of whatever like the research team could add with it. So that was like a proud achievement for the company, right? Having this research team do this, and they raised a lot of funding because of the same reason too. And yeah, so that was my first job, how it looked like. Then I transitioned to other companies and their research teams. So like in every company, their goals might be a bit different. In my second company, it was more like a research organization where they wanted me to do open source projects as part of their research for social good.
Okay.
And I built a few products over there, and one of them which I built for the climate change, like energy efficiency in this space. And it was all
Yeah.
my idea. I was like the one who
Uh-huh.
wrote about the product and everything, like from scratch to end. It was all me, nobody else was there. And we wrote even research papers about this, and they were quite happy with it. Like this is the kind of direction that they wanted it. And so currently in the new company also, like we are having an R&D team where the company's original goals are something different, but then we see this ChatGPT and all these new technologies, and we don't want to fall behind.
Yeah.
And in order to catch up, I'm the one who is like helping them. Okay, let's do this, let's go this direction. This might help you.
Right.
And this is the way research team mostly works in most companies. So we are not just hired to do a set of list of tasks, but mostly we are there to be a catalyst or accelerate
Right.
along the lines of what the company's interests are. And then we
Exactly.
write research papers, open source projects, and do whatever of our own to help the company's mission and vision.
Right, that sounds really interesting. You mentioned the project that you did about climate change and research in artificial intelligence. Can you elaborate on that? It sounded really interesting.
So it was pretty simple. So all the machines that we use, like say, even for machine learning, when we use GPUs and all these machines, there's a lot certain amount of carbon emission that is happening.
Yeah.
And we like when we like might be small when we use this laptop sensor, but this carbon emission on a larger scale, when you track that, this could amount to something, right? And all these GPUs being used, they are like much more heavier than yeah, and like think of the case where these LLMs are running, the emission might be quite larger. So I attempted on building a tool which could actually track these carbon emissions for specifically machine learning projects. And the tool was the goal of the tool was to like use other libraries inside it, but also to make the tracking process like for if a new engineer wants to like don't know much about uh, like machine learning, much about these tracking projects also, they can integrate this tool very easily to their projects and then use it to track how the consumption are and make a report out of it. And that's what I attempted to do. And yeah,
Right.
so this was my past convenience. And I thought at the moment I thought like okay, this if people were at least like the aim was not to simply build a tool which would track. I mean, that people might use different tools, people might attempt on doing different solutions and so. But the ultimate goal for me was to like make people aware that this is happening. That is why this tool is existing, and we should be aware of it. And that message, I think, was communicated quite well with the project.
So, one more thing I found very interesting about your profile was that you have mentored more than 1,000 students in your areas of expertise programming, machine learning. So, how did this process come about?
So actually, so I would say I was not someone who had the privilege of studying computer science in college. Also, I had dropped out of one college and joined another. So I know, like due to a lot of other circumstances in my life, I know how education is important. What exactly would someone who lacked knowledge like I did would like need to fill in the gaps?
Right.
So, I was like, whenever I was learning, I was always keen on letting others also know, like, my journey, like, okay, helping them in that track also. So, this did not happen, like, this idea did not happen to me in just one day. What happened was it was a slow iterative process. I could tell you with a few small examples, like, say I was learning AI, and in the beginning I was like keeping it to myself. I was not telling anyone like, okay, I
Right.
should learn by myself. Nobody should know about it. Only when I'm knowledgeable, when I'm successful, everyone should get to know about it, and then I will surprise everyone. This was my attitude. And there was this guy from computer science department. So like I usually like to have this tea and this drinks with people and just go on long conversations. And I was talking with this guy, like, hey man, you want to know some secret? I'm like getting good at AI. And
Okay.
then he was like, okay, what are you learning? So I said, I'm just trying out this course from Andrew NG. And like I told him all about the course. And I told him that I was using MATLAB and Octave for this answer. So then right then and there, he said, like abruptly, bro, these courses are from 2011. You are like using all these outdated software,
Yeah.
and this is not going to do you any good. I was devastated at the moment. Like, how dare you? Like, I'm learning, and you're like, yeah. Then I understood one thing. So that lack of communication, right? When you do things by yourself, not helping others, or like
Yeah.
not engaging with others,
Mm-hmm.
will definitely get you trapped. Like you should actually communicate whatever you do. Like then only you will know. Like then only this randomness of the opportunities happen. You just
Yeah.
engage with something like then the story slowly evolves, right? You have to be always engaging with something. And this engagement, like when I try to teach people, it happened that like when I say explain things in this podcast, even a lot of things that I say is coming from my experience of speaking with people in the past, because I
Yeah.
know how the or like questions are going to be, how the like answers that I'm going to frame. This
Yeah.
has happened over the time, like it's a usual iterative approach, right? So
Yeah.
actually, it is you who is going to be better through the process.
Yeah.
Right. Like
Right.
the more you like do, like it's a very cynical way to say it, but at the same time, if you're passionate about helping others, you will be helping yourself.
Exactly. So
So,
sharing knowledge.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that is how it started. So then I understood one more thing. This learning, when people try to actually learn, they don't want to stick to AI. Like it's more about bridging the gap. Like,
Mm-hmm.
like say, I could tell you about AI in a very simple, very detailed way, and that might be the the reason would not be for you to learn AI, but what
Yeah.
actually what you do is you make an build an awareness about AI so that you can choose if you like to follow this path or not. Like,
Yeah.
okay, I understand this much about AI. Seems
Mm-hmm.
interesting, but not the path for me. That
Right.
awareness you have to build, right? So
Right.
back in my college times, I used to learn a lot of technologies because I also wanted to build that awareness for myself. And I
Right.
even did hardware, software, everything. I spent all of my time learning,
Mm-hmm.
even after college, all my time was spent on learning something. So from everything I developed some abstract knowledge at least to speak to people. And
Yeah.
then in college I started a community. I believe there were no other communities for tech. It was mostly clubs and so, which made learning not free. Like they would charge
Yeah.
students for
Yeah.
doing these courses and so. And
Right.
then someone will just come over and then like talk about these courses. Students ask some questions and they leave. That's not how you learn, right? Like you will forget whatever you heard, like last Thursday or something, and
Right.
your brain is always going to forget. You have to be iterative, like be with them in the process and so.
Yeah.
And if you have a community, what happens is it's not going to be just me who is going to help people. There will be other people who engage with each other, and so and so. So
Right.
what I did was, so my journey with this teaching, like helping people, started with that community.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why I started that community was also because of another set of people. So this community's name is Tinker Hub, and
Mm-hmm.
I joined this community outside my college. It was a initiative that happened in my state,
Mm-hmm.
and a certain group of people took me over, took me like made me talk with a lot of people who are like even billion-dollar companies. I'm not saying million, billion-dollar companies CTOs
Right.
were there who engaged in conversation with me, and
Exactly.
also co-contributors of top machine learning or whatever project that I was interested. A lot of amazing people were there, and I
Yeah.
was able to engage with these people, and
Mm-hmm.
even people like with my minimal knowledge were able to engage with these kind of people and see how their discussions goes. So now you build that awareness, right?
Yeah.
So this community kind of approach and this free learning approach made a lot of difference in my own life. And I was very grateful to it, and I was grateful to the people too. And I wanted this to happen in my college too, because there was this gap. People were like, they had to pay for this, and the people who were learning was also very, self-indulgent, so that they will learn for
Yeah.
themselves, they will study for placements, and then they get a job, like following the system by themselves. Uh, and they all become someone in some corporate jobs. Someone,
Right.
some of them would be really competitive and get into some really competitive good jobs where they get a lot of money, just the money. not other
Mm-hmm.
perks that they want to negotiate. They couldn't do that
Mm-hmm.
because it's a campus placement. But when you build awareness, what happens? It's like a ship. It's like being in a ship where you want to navigate. Like say you're Ferdinand Magellan, where you want to travel the world. And then maybe you might not want to know which port you want to go to, but you want to explore. You want to reach some port, some land.
Mm-hmm.
And then you learn to how to navigate rather than going in circles or just going in somewhere. But the navigation is important, right? That sort of navigation happens only when you engage with communities, build awareness, help each other, and so on. And then the Stinger Hub community had chapters on several other colleges too. Our college did not have any. So, like, I really felt the need to, okay, let's do this. Let's bring this here. And then I faced a lot of, like setbacks. Like, people were not really supportive. Like, in my batch were not really supportive at all. So I had to, like, convince a few people. A lot of juniors helped me, and I'm very thankful for them to be like as they were really supportive in me establishing this, and I put a lot of effort in getting this up, and even the technologies that people wanted to learn, I taught them myself whenever I could when there were no other mentors available, or I also brought people from outside the college to speak about this, and I iteratively continue to help them. So a lot of initiatives were made in that manner, and people slowly understood the need of communities. Now, like when you look at the college, these people are helping each other. They are really better. Even if you engage in the discussions with them, they are actually knowledgeable with like you could say this awareness is coming from like say even if they are building a product, they won't be reinventing the wheel or like googling a lot of things from scratch, but they actually know like hey, this is the procedure, this is how we should think, this is how we should solve problems, this is how we should help people, this is the way to
Right.
teach this this so this happened in my college. That was my first community initiative, and over time I was able to take sessions for Google also. Google's there was this Google AI initiative for students to teach machine learning across your area, and I was selected for that. And there also we were able to do like I was able to do a lot more classes, and then people came over. They were initially a bit skeptical. Okay, this is machine learning, it's going to be hard. Like and some college student is teaching. Like, how is it going to be? So, like maybe I'll sleep there. So that's the thought they had. But actually, the course that I had was I'm pretty sure it was present in a much simpler way. Like so that people should understand this is no some of it is a black box, but this is no big brain thing that you cannot understand. You can actually understand a lot of it. Maybe a lot of other aspects like building with it could be painful, but at least if you could understand how you could solve certain tasks, or if you could at least build awareness, like I said, to navigate. Okay, if I am interested in AI or not, if I want to talk to someone about AI, do I know about this thing? This needs to be solved, right? So that was that I was able to achieve through whatever mentoring I did. And over time, even after college, there happened to be other initiatives and communities that I helped assisted in building up uh, for my friends. And slowly, right now, even in Twitter, I believe I'm trying to do the same. I've been out of the space for maybe over a year, doing my traveling and a lot of other stuff. But right now, I'm back to it, and even now, we are trying to solve a lot more problems in the technological space. And I'm also even still in touch and involved with Finger Hub, and they are this amazing community, and their missions have always been an inspiration for me. Yes.
Right, that's really wonderful. Community is indeed very crucial to communicating, networking, learning, and teaching. It's really a breakout out of the rote learning process that we follow, especially in India. There's one path you're supposed to go on, and that will lead you to some ultimate destination. But maybe it's not supposed to be that way. Maybe you're supposed to incorporate a lot of knowledge from many different sources, and that's exactly what communities do these days.
Yes, yes. Mostly like getting people out of this climbing the ladder approach is what community can do for you, because everyone, like,
Yeah.
I believe everyone is unique, having their own capabilities, and so I'm not saying everyone is exceptional at what they do.
Yeah.
You could be like a normal artist, but say if I'm giving you a painting and I'm giving 30 other people like a quest on doing a painting about maybe Mona Lisa or something. I'll give a description of what Mona Lisa is, like a woman standing near the riverside or something. I'm not sure what it was, but you give a prompt like that to a lot of people, everyone will do it in a different way. So
Yeah.
there's this
Yes.
uniqueness, right? Like I'm not talking about the creativity, not the best picture, but everyone will do it in their unique way, and they
Yeah.
should be enabled to do that. Like say, if someone is hired uh, because of say, like this is not a ditch on IIT. What I'm saying is, when I say if someone is hired from an IIT or some campus, what happens usually is companies come there and it's hiring some ultra super compatible brain, right? Like the competence is higher. They are actually smart in their own way, but they are not hiring the person for the person. They are hiring them mostly, most of the cases, they are hiring them for the ultra high capabilities that they have in
Yeah.
solving certain kind of tasks, which is
Yeah.
very useful in a lot of companies, like because there are tasks to be solved in that manner. But there are a lot of others who will not be following that kind of a paradigm, and then they still want to fit in somewhere, right? That is
Yeah.
what communities do. Like it is like giving everyone a space to perform, giving everyone something to work on, and be happy doing that maybe.
So, one of the very interesting things that I saw on your LinkedIn page was that you've mentioned elementary teacher in the Himalayas. So, that is completely mind blowing. What is that about and how did that come about?
So I have always been very passionate about teaching, and I have always had this thought in the back of my mind. I should maybe do my master's and PhD, and then get to be a professor somewhere. And I'm going to retire from tech, and I don't want to do tech at all. Like this, like it's not like I don't want to do tech, but I want to be like this teaching kind of a passion, kind of always feel the fire in me. And I was wondering like what's the best way to do it. So there was a so this whole story. So I also wrote a blog about it. It was like very niche about what happened. So I traveled over to some place in which is quite near to Dehradun or Mussoorie, and this village is called Sainji, which was very beautiful when I went there. And I went to a bakery and Google paid and then saw the name over there. So like 5 minutes before, I saw a woman watering her garden and so, and I was like, she's a Western lady. Like, what is her story of ending up in India and settling down here? Because like it was such a beautiful sight. This in the middle of this mountain, she's
Yeah.
doing her own thing. Oh, wow, like nice. So I thought of okay, then I paid my money. When I paid my money, I saw the name, and my monkey brain, like I'm usually very curious. Then I Google everything up. Like, oh, okay, let me Google up this name. What if they are famous? And they were like, she was the principal of the school nearby. And I checked her LinkedIn page and I talked everything about her. And then I asked the people in the bakery, okay, can I have lunch with this lady? Because I'm very intrigued about what her mission and so and so. And so she and her husband, like the impact that they have made for the school and for the villagers, because the villagers earlier used to be very skeptical about this English healthcare and so and so. And
Yeah.
her husband was the one who brought a lot of changes in the healthcare and even for the employment of a lot of the villagers and making their lives better. So he was the Gram Pradhan, that means the village head, for
Yeah.
maybe around 2 decades. And so the whole story was in their website, and I talked about it with them. I asked them what is the best way I can help you, and then you could come here and volunteer, they say. And I did exactly that. So on February 2023, I went to the school, and I slowly built a rap with the students, and like eventually they learned to trust me. And I had my own methods of teaching. So one thing about education is that, like Indian education, is that we, despite how politically like or maybe like liberally improved we are, we might still have our own bias or our own way of like
Yeah.
teaching, and
Yeah.
might not be adequate for the whole of students. Say for example,
Yeah.
like this is a simple observation.
Mhm.
So if you take a Western country, take Canada in her that was her home country. Take other countries, and what I observed is they when they teach, they will focus even on the students who are underperforming. Like they will try to bring them up. Also, the
Yeah.
teachings will not be simply about, oh, get this into your brain. That's not like that. It is more about bringing what is inside their brain outside. You understand?
Right.
It's not
Yeah.
feeding, but it's taking out. So,
Yeah.
what they would do, in order to do that more would be like, okay, maybe if you want to talk about history, if you're teaching history, you could actually show a movie. And if you like make them engage in art and creativity, crafts, and a lot of other things, while doing or teaching maths or whatever, they will represent, like they will be able to represent their knowledge better. This is
Right.
the
Yes.
best way to learn, right? Like this was something amazing. It's the same thing I saw at the school too. And like our Indian way would be to focus on the brightest students, which is
Yeah.
like, okay, yeah, maybe you will get some really smart mathematical minds out of there. So I have a philosophical thought. What good is a super high powered machine if you don't know what
Yeah.
to do with it? Like say if you have a supercomputer and then
Yeah.
you're playing some, basic pinball or some kind of game with it. What are you doing
Right.
with it, right? Like you actually need, it's not the supercomputers that we need.
Yeah.
Whatever capability that they have, the right kind of output from them is what we
Yeah.
need. Like, and so that is the way to deal with every other children that we meet. And
Mm.
you have to listen to them. You have to listen to the way they think. You have to when we engage with them more and more, you will learn that okay, they are like their thoughts and questions will make you introspect about your own life a lot more. Like, and there were also these funny questions, like, say, they asked me, who is your best friend? And why are you friends with them? I'm like, that's a good question.
Okay.
How do I answer
Very
that?
deep question.
Yeah. And then this guy ran out of questions. So he was asking me and my friend a lot of questions. And this guy, the kid, ran out of questions. He paused for some time and then came back at my friend and asked, hey, what is your favorite vegetable? How did he
Okay.
answer all of that? Yeah.
Right.
So this is what happens, right? The curiosity, the clever, cunning way, and they're like it's like they won't be able to hurt you. They are very open. They are like They will outright
Yeah.
express their feelings, and they want to do creatively a lot of things. And so this happened at the school, and the children like I was very bad at in my Hindi speaking skills. So what I did was I sat with the children one
Uh-huh.
day, and the first standard kids were having this Hindi grammar class, and I was also like I went there as a student, and I
Uh-huh.
kept on doing that every other day. And then these children were very enthusiastic about having me beside them, and I learned that these children are better at teaching me better than any others that I have ever seen. You know why? It's simple, like the answer is simple, like because they are actually learning this grammar and all these things
Yeah.
fresh, right? And this in this
Yeah.
fresh way, they were also able to teach me, and it
Yeah.
was very meaningful. I'm way better in my Hindi knowledge thanks to them. And so these are the future people. Like you can see, like the things that they do really amazes you. You think our like say if you go to any school in the cities, like the kind of schools that I studied in, you could see
Yeah.
that if you are asked to come near the board, it's a punishment. Here it
Yeah.
is the opposite. Here it is the opposite. It's
Okay.
like when I mention the word board, I'm seeing a lot of people near me, and I saw I. And
That's right.
yeah, that eagerness, that enthusiasm to learn, it was such a, like, I could say it was a, I haven't been this happy, this, like, feeling of full. in a much long time, and this was very empowering for me. There was a lot more stories that I would like to share, but I don't think we have time enough for that. Yeah.
Yeah, that really sounds like a very exciting experience. But how do you manage your, regular job and all of these things?
That's a good question. So during that 1 month, I had a break from my past company, and then I was doing some consulting for a US company. And
Okay.
so this consulting was just hourly. And I got rehired by my previous first employer, not first, the other company, and then that happened on only at the end of February. So this February was like a perfect gap
Yeah,
for me. Like
a
everything
window.
fell into place. Yeah, like I was already planning to go to school during February, and then I was like I had to get off the company, and then I joined the school, right?
Right.
So this consultancy thing happened, and I was doing that only after the school. So I did 8 hours of teaching at the school. Then I took two tuitions, and I also did a lot of fixing a lot of things over at the school, and then did the job later at night. Like I did no like nothing like watching any entertainment, nothing else. 16 hours of straight up work. I loved it. It was like a total good distraction for me to be fully engaged. Like all of my energy was
Yeah.
properly used during that time. So that was there. And like during the, when you're teaching there, you actually don't think about the time. You're just involved.
Yeah. Your enthusiasm is really incredible. And I
Thank you.
think, yeah, people who live in the cities, we really need to, disengage from the entire digital world that we live in and then go and engage with communities who are, let's say, developing, still growing, and especially with children.
Yes, a lot of people who have been working in remote workspace or who have been away, like, say they want to explore places and travel and so and so, or maybe go live in cities like Bangalore. They might have done that, and they have found a lot of things are really depressing for them because over time, then this a monotonous life cycle or a loop that they face.
Yeah,
A lot of them. I'm not blaming cities for it, but the situation that people face kind of have made them go depressed. Like it's like a lack of purpose. Like once you have the office, or maybe like if you are coming back to your family or something, then there's something that you have to, like, say, if you're do like cooking your own food, engaging with your own people, going to the park and doing a lot of stuff, then that is fine. But then the remote work can be like, for many of the people, there might be not giving them enough distractions to like go on their own life. But actually, you could see it another way. Hey, this extra time that you have is actually meant for doing something. What if you
yeah,
like properly make use of that? And like I would mention about the proper usage of this time, right? Like say, even at the school, I was not simply a teacher. Say I have certain technical skills, right? And a lot of people who have even basic computer skills could do a lot of things over there. I could say
yeah,
I helped write the specifications for all the machines and also the electrical power backup and a lot of other things. Like did all the machine specifications, wiring and everything, like I mentioned about that. Like all the engineering knowledge that I gained over the years and all the computer knowledge. Small things like, hey, should I use Intel i3 or i5? It's some basic question. Everyone knows about it, right? Anyone with a basic computer would know.
yeah,
But I wrote about it. So from the options, okay, this is what we should have. And there were NGOs and other foundations that were helping us. They just need someone from a technical side to explain these things to them, so that they
yeah,
can approve the fundings, right? This,
right.
if I was not there, like, and if someone was not doing it this way, like, they might have taken, weeks or months of, back and forth approach in
Yeah,
order
yeah, yeah.
to understand how to wrap their mind about this, right? And I
Right.
just went on one call, like a half an hour call, and then everything was fixed. Like, okay, this is all we have to do. So bring it here. That
Yeah.
is, and also other things like I set up an automated bell, and I saw the Canadian woman's name is Lori, and she was struggling with, okay, how to set up this in the browser and set the schedule for the alarm bell and so, and she was like struggling with it. "Oh, I'm not able to get this up," and then I came in. I said, "Oh, like you have to do it this way, right?" And I will set this way. Like I was not an alarm bell engineer. You cannot call me a
Okay.
bell engineer, but actually,
Yeah.
when I saw this, it's very easy. Like I could figure this out. Uh, um, so that happens if you are a technical or if you're an engineer, or maybe if you're like I don't know. Like there's a lot of things. Anyone, not just an engineer. I'm not saying just for engineers,
Right.
but
Yeah.
there was a lawyer who was teaching there, who is also a volunteer. He quit his job and he was a very
Okay.
renowned lawyer in his place, and he is in his 40s, and that's the peak time for a lawyer, right? Like,
Yes. Yes.
like in their career. And then he quit that job, and he is simply happy teaching there and doing his own things over there, and he was able to do a lot of things over there. So that's the thing, like in the cities, we are not able to figure out where we fit in, and then you go to these rural areas, and you are like every other person in the village would know who you are because you are creating actually a lot of impact for them even without you knowing it. This might be very
Yeah.
basic for you.
It's
That
true.
inspired me to do a lot more because of the same reason.
Right. So finding a way to be resourceful and putting your skills to use in any setting that you comfort to.
Yes, that is right. And yeah, like if you actually are open to learning or fixing new things, you will actually be like okay, like you will find more resources. Like if you are resourceful yourself, then you will be able to figure out more resources if you are
Exactly.
actually into solving these things. Yes.
Yeah, I think that answers a lot of questions, but still, this is a mandatory question. So, what is your advice to students, new engineers who are going to be out there in the market in the next few years with the entire changing situation of the tech industry? What are some key points of advice that you would give to them?
Yes, so every other year before this, 2023, we could have had some cliche or some very niche answers, and so and so. Like right now, we have ChatGPT and these kind of tools and everything like changing their own lives and so
Yeah,
and so. Like and even students such as you, could be using these tools for yourself, which me or anyone of my age were not able to grab and tackle whatever issues we had. Like, say, if we want to write a job application or master's application, and so we have to type it everything by ourselves, and you guys already have it crafted for yourself. It's very easy. So this adaptability is something very important that you have to figure out. Like, I mean, it's a key learning in 2023, I guess. And also networking well, like networking not for the sake of networking, but actually putting yourself in a space where you actually matter, your opinions matter, where you could create some difference or you could learn something would be
yeah,
the best way to go about learning technology in your own way. So this learning, the more you learn, the more you actually should help other people also, like in a way that they could actually get the advantage of of a head start
yeah,
rather than
right.
reinventing the wheel or starting from scratch. Also, if you're doing your job, you should not simply focus on just the engineering aspect of it, but think of yourself as a human and like not just as another machine. Just figure out what you do best and follow that passion.
Yeah,
And what else should I say for college students? Um, yeah, it's not a competition. That's like it's not a competition.
yeah,
Just figure out your way slowly and engage in communities. Make these small difference in your life. Like learn something new every day, even if you are spending only 5 minutes learning something new. That knowledge might stick with you, right? Like you might not remember or learn everything
yeah,
in one day or remember everything that you learn, but at least if you make small improvements each day, that itself is going to help you do your job better. And don't panic. Don't panic on what the media says. And another important thing,
yeah,
always seek out references.
right.
This could be really important, like these referrals that you can get from other people, like when you network. This could really help you in the job market, and if you want to get into the sense. These Yeah. So these referrals will really help you get into spaces that might have been impossible for you to get access to. So always go for referrals. And yeah, I think that's it. There might be a lot more which I post about in Twitter. When it comes off the top of my head, I will always put it out there, and I will yeah give more guidance personally who you want who wants it, and it's always will be free.
Thank you so much for watching this video. If you found this video insightful, please don't forget to like, share, and comment. And let's see you on the next episode.